Toronto police are going to be providing an update on the investigation into a fatal shooting at Jane and Driftwood over the weekend. Let's listen.
Just for a matter of going over the circumstances, on Friday at approximately 6 p.m., a male youth was shot, taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. What I can tell you about this young man, this teenager, is that he's a 16-year-old, avid sports player, visits school, and a good student at school. He was waiting at the bus stop to go actually play a volleyball game at the time he was shot. We do not believe that there is any relationship at this time between this young man and the other victim or the offender. At this time, the victim remains in hospital with significant injuries, potentially life-altering. Yesterday, the chief, myself, accompanied by the detectives, went to the hospital. We met with the mother of the young man, who is very traumatized by what has occurred, but is thankful that her son is alive. I'm now going to have Detective Campbell provide information about the homicide that occurred on Saturday. Detective?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Detective Phil Campbell from the Homicide and Missing Persons Unit. So on Saturday at approximately 3:05 p.m., officers from 31 Division responded to a shooting in the area of Driftwood and Jane. They located a victim with gunshot wounds where he was taken to the hospital and pronounced deceased. We can now identify the homicide victim as Mr. Adu Boakye. That's spelled B-O-A-K-Y-E. He was 39 years old and he was from Ghana. Mr. Boakye was a father, an uncle, a nephew, and a son. He came to Canada this past November to support his family. He leaves behind a wife and 4 children. When this incident occurred, we know Mr. Boakye was walking by a bus shelter near 4359 Jane Street. Our investigation thus far has revealed there is no relationship between Mr. Boakye and the individual or individuals who shot him. And like the victim shot the day before, Mr. Boakye was innocently going about his business. This is an active and ongoing investigation, and we believe the 2 shootings are connected. As you know, we also believe the same vehicle, stolen vehicle, was involved in both shootings. That vehicle was found abandoned in Hamilton. We are asking anyone who may have seen the vehicle, a black Acura RDX, plate number Charlie Victor Echo November 900. If you have any video or dash cam or anything, if you've seen the vehicle, please call us. Through video canvassing, we were able to provide information on the suspect we believe to be involved. That picture was recently released to the media. The suspect is described as a male, black, 18 to 25 years old, thin build. He was wearing a black coat, a white hoodie, black pants, black shoes, a black face covering, and possibly a white surgical mask underneath. I cannot provide further details on the ongoing investigation beyond that, but we're here asking for the public's help. If anyone in the community knows anything about these shootings or who may have committed them, we're asking you to please contact us so we can bring the offenders to justice. We believe these 2 victims were shot indiscriminately. One person is dead, and the other has had their life altered forever. And again, if you have any information, please contact 31 Division at 416-808-3100, or you can provide information anonymously to Crime Stoppers. Thank you. Superintendent?
And just as a follow-up, I think it's really important to emphasize that both of the victims were enjoying this community, and nothing in our investigation has shown that they are in any way affiliated to a gang or anything of that nature. They were completely and utterly innocent, and which is a big part of what has caused alarm in this community. And speaking to that piece is the reason why not only that we're here giving you this information, it's thanks to your efforts that we found the vehicle. We also want to get to the community that we're going to be in this area on foot, listening to you, listening to your concerns. This command post is here. We're going to have community outreach to provide counseling in relation to trauma, and it's really important for the community to know that we're here for your safety. We take these incidents very seriously. I have the utmost faith in the homicide squad and investigating this and bringing the perpetrator or perpetrators to justice. But really the final piece is to know that we're truly committed in being here and being part of the community, and we're listening, and we need the community's support. We have released the image of the suspect. Please take a look at who this individual is. This individual took upon themselves to carry out actions that has left one person dead and obviously injured a 16-year-old who was on the way to a volleyball game. And that's the piece that really needs to resonate and understood. So we're looking for the community's help in identifying this individual and any other information that can assist us, whether they want to contact 31 Division, that's where the homicide unit is working out of, or Crime Stoppers at 222-TIPS. Take any questions if there are any.
Yeah, I don't know if Detective Campbell joined the superintendent up there. Just looking at the photos released, it looks like this person was walking around in the area. Does it seem like they were scoping it out prior to the homicide? Were they in the vehicle when shots were fired? What were the circumstances?
Well, we don't want to get too much into what the circumstances were. All we know is this person approached both victims, obviously at separate times, and shot them. That part's still being investigated, how they were getting around, and obviously we think there's a vehicle involved. So again, it goes back to if anyone has anything about this vehicle, we'd like to hear about it.
So shots were not fired from the vehicle. It was someone who was outside of the vehicle approaching the suspects and firing.
Correct. Correct.
Do you believe that the suspect acted alone? Did the person get into the passenger side of the vehicle or back part of the vehicle, or was there a driver?
So that part of the investigation, we're still investigating, and we still want to know more about what happened that night.
And this vehicle was stolen?
That correct.
And where was it found?
The vehicle was located in Hamilton.
Was the car stolen before the shooting?
Yes, it was.
How far?
Again, we're gonna. I want to hold on to that for now. That's still being investigated.
Do you know where the car was stolen from?
It was stolen from the Toronto area.
So, I mean, what are theories? I mean, I know it's so early and there's only so much you can say, but I mean, how do you go about investigating this? Someone driving in a stolen car takes the time to shoot two innocent people at random. First of all, how concerning is this, and is there a theory behind this? Could this be gang initiation or something like that?
So that's a very valid question. I can tell you that they're actively investigating witness interviews, canvassing, and the offender will tell us that. And what that is understanding what their motives were. Once we have apprehended this person, that's going to come forward. But to specifically answer your question, the victims were doing what anybody in the city were doing, enjoying their community. This offender or offenders took it upon themselves to carry out violence, and whether that violence could be gang related, we're alive to that, and that is a possibility. I know it was alluded to by the inspector on the weekend. Whether this has hallmarks of gang violence, it does. But all those things are going to come forward as we unpack this, as we investigate this more, and investigate the vehicle, and with the public's assistance, identify this suspect.
Do you have any reason to believe that this suspect would be doing this ever, again in this community? I mean, the fear is real. People are talking about being afraid to stand at a bus stop. Is there any indication that this person would ever try this again?
It's really hard to predict the future state with an individual like that, which is the reason why we're releasing the image of this suspect, so we can get the public's assistance. We are here from a community standpoint. Police officers are going to be on foot. They will be communicating with members and citizens that live in this area, to provide a sense of safety, a connection, and listen to any needs that they may have. And that's why we're committed to that safety piece.
Was it the same firearm in both shootings?
So again, that's part of the investigation. That's not something that would be released in this format, but that'll, again, be part of the investigation.
Superintendent, I know you spent a lot of time in homicide. Can you talk about how something like this actually impacts the communities? And when you're walking around and talking to mothers who are now, I'm sure, worried about having their kids just walking around, what does that do to the area?
It's trauma. It's trauma. There is a trauma, obviously, to the family, which is what the chief and I, when we went yesterday, we noticed, and but there's a trauma to the collective community, which is one of the reasons why we want to make sure that we communicate not only in this format, but individually as the officers go out to make them feel safe. But 100%, this is brazen. It was during the daylight hours, and that's why we want to bring this person to justice fairly quickly. And the homicide investigators at 31, police officers here are all committed to that piece, is bringing a sense of justice, bringing a sense of safety, and being here for the community when they need it.
How difficult is that when the person's wearing a face covering? Obviously, the car is going to be forensically examined, but how difficult is it? I mean, people can't just keep an eye out for one specific person.
Right. I believe the individuals, people in the community that know this individual, I don't think it'll be difficult. And that's where we're seeking people's assistance. That the image that has been released, I believe, will provide an opportunity for people to hold this person accountable for their actions, and that's where we're looking for the assistance.
Okay, last question. Laura said last question. I was just wondering, in both cases, did the person drive up to the area of the bus stop and then go directly to that person, or like did they park like a block away, or what happened leading up to these shootings? Was it the same pattern? Was it the same sequence of events, or
right?
What did it look like?
So you're getting into the investigative piece of the investigation will cover that for court. But the important piece is the two people were shot at by an offender. And that's really the story here. A young person and a person who's dead, they were shot at by this offender who came from a vehicle. And that's the extent the investigation can share at this point. There may be more as we move forward that may become available. But at this time, that's probably the extent of what we can share with you.
One quick question. I was just looking at crime stats leading up to this, and it does show that there is quite a spike in shooting incidents just in the first couple months of 2024 compared to last year. I think they've more than doubled. And I know 31 Division is also seeing a big spike, and you mentioned that this could have hallmarks of gang activity. Are we seeing a rise in gang activity? Are we seeing that shooting trend going up again? I know it has, gone down in recent years.
Right. So there's different contexts there, and to your point, we've seen a decrease overall. There seems to be a spike. There is variances that shootings do go through, but what I can tell you for 31 Division is last year we had a 10-year low based on our efforts to specifically be in this community. Officers on foot, connecting with the community, creating spaces that community feels safe, and we'll continue to do that. But we're live to all that data, but we're going to keep an eye on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, we've been listening to Toronto Police give an update on the two shootings that happened over the weekend in North York and the Jane and Driftwood area. Here's a recap of what we've heard. One victim, 39-year-old Adu Boakye, has been identified. He was shot and killed. He is from Ghana. He had recently come to Canada. He leaves behind a wife and 4 children. The other victim, he's still alive. We're talking about a 16-year-old who was shot in the mouth. Right now, police say that there's no relation to the victims and the suspect. They are looking for a suspect, a black male, 18 to 19 years old, who was wearing all black, as well as a face covering and possibly a white mask. There was a stolen black Acura RDX that was recovered in Hamilton. And right now, police, they're saying that anyone who can help them put an end to this, solve this, contact 31 Division. There's also that command center that is set up in the Jane and Driftwood area.